Osso Bucco, a classic Italian stew, usually made with beef or veal. But I'm going to use the same idea. Instead of using beef or veal, I'm going to try it with lamb shanks. And it actually works really, really well. Anything that's secondary cut like this, with the bone on, just is so delicious. And in the cooler months, this is exactly what I crave. So lamb shanks, ask your butcher for small-ish ones. I don't want big ones. They're going to take too long to cook, and also they won't fit in the pot. So nice little lamb shanks. To this, we need to season it. So a good pinch of salt all over the shanks, some freshly cracked pepper, and just to ensure we get a lovely thick sauce, I like to add some flour. So you just need about a tablespoon of flour. We're just going to lightly coat our shanks. So just rub that all over, and you want to take the excess off because you don't want it to be too gluggy. It's just a thin film. Okay, this stew pot has been preheating. I did add that oil, and then we're going to start frying these off. Now, we're not cooking at this stage. We just want to get some beautiful colour on our shanks. So while that's frying up, let's get on to the mirepoix. So some celery, 2 sticks of celery. I'm going to cut them in half. Mirepoix is the base of many, many stews, and it consists of celery, onion, and carrot. And the holy trinity, as I like to call them, makes for the best stew. So you don't want one without the other. The three of them together, it cooks down and it forms this beautiful sweet consistency for our stew. So I've just got the 2 pieces of celery there, cut them into thin strips, and you want it to be roughly the same size for this lamb osso bucco. So finely chop that, and we're good to go. Let's turn our shanks. See that colour? That's what we're after. So keep turning them. And because this is so hot, it just takes moments. By the time I turn that over, I'll add another splash of oil, and then we'll take them out. So we're just looking for that beautiful crust, just like that. Onto a plate. And while they're just resting over there for a moment, we can cook our mirepoix. So in with the onions first, along with the carrot and our celery. So this is where you need to be slightly patient, because the difference between an okay osso bucco and a great one is cooking down these vegetables. We want them to caramelise, we want them to soften, we want it to break down, just so those flavours start to mature. All right, this is cooked down nicely, they're caramelised, so we can add the herbs. So I'm using some thyme, lots of thyme for this recipe. So in with the sprigs and some tomato paste. And whenever you're using tomato paste, you want to cook it off. So we'll add half of this and just cook that off. And now the wine. So nice white wine, you can use a Chardonnay for something like this. In it goes. And you'll see it coming to the boil. We want that, we just want to cook off some of that alcohol. Oh, it smells good. And this is an option. You don't have to add some more tomato, but if you want that richer flavour, I recommend adding half a can of crushed tomatoes. And again, bring that to the boil. I will season it with a pinch of salt. Tomatoes need salt. And because this is going to cook low and slow, we want to add some stock. Now use a good quality stock, something that's made with real beef bones and vegetables. So I'm using beef stock for this recipe. You want about 500 mils, but it will depend on what type of pot you use. So we can return the lamb to our liquid and just try to ensure that they're in one single layer so they cook evenly. Oh, look at that. It's gonna be really good. So the lid goes on and I'll turn the heat off, and this goes to the oven, 160 degrees, and this is going to cook for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours, or until the meat just starts to fall away from the bone. Okay, the lamb has come out of the oven. It is just smelling so good. And now I'm getting on to my gremolata. So this is the classic garnish to go with any osso bucco. It's a combination of garlic, To that, I'm going to add some lemon zest, loads of lemon zest. It heightens the dish. And also because lamb is on the fattier side, this really cuts through the richness. And that's what you want. And then some parsley, so fresh parsley chopped. I prefer this done by hand as opposed to popping all of this into a little food processor, just so we keep that freshness there. So scrunch up the parsley, want a few sprigs, and then finally chop it. And there's no reason that you can't take the tradition of a gremolata and change it up slightly. We all know that mint goes really nicely with lamb, so you could add some fresh mint to this if you like. A few more little chops, and then into our bowl. To this, I'll add another pinch of salt and some really good quality extra virgin olive oil just to tie it all together. So about a tablespoon, and give it a stir. So it should just come together, just so we can drizzle that over the meat. That's looking good. Okay, let's check this out. Oh, still piping hot. The meat is tender and soft. I love this with lentils, something a little different. You can use canned lentils if you like. I like to cook my own. It simply takes 20 minutes in some water, bring it to the boil, turn it down and simmer for that 20 minutes until they're tender. And we'll pop that straight onto our lentils. Don't forget all this gorgeous, thick, rich sauce, full of that mirepoix with those carrots, onions and celery. And we'll just pour that over the top. And the gremolata, just drizzle that over the top. That for me is just heaven in a plate. Beautiful flavours there. So let's dig in. Oh, see how that just falls away? It's succulent, meltingly tender, exactly how lamb shanks should be. That's a true delight.